What's up everyone, it's your friendly neighborhood French Canadian, and today I'll show you how to make a Lady Maria build.
A corpse should be left well alone.
Honestly, I am not surprised by the poll win. Lady Maria completely dominated at like over 60%. So you voted for it and I do it. To any FromSoft fan, I think Lady Maria really needs an introduction. She is one of the bosses in the Bloodborne DLC, and she is one of the few bosses that made the entire fandom go feral because of the cinematic intro before you fight her. Honestly, how dare they make us fall in love with a boss that we have to fight and defeat. Maria is considered a vile blood in Bloodborne, which are basically the vampires of Bloodborne, but she studied under German the Hunter. And her blade is the Rakuyo. It's sort of a pole blade that can separate into either a dagger or swords. Now I know a lot of people expect me to use Eleanor's pole blade for very obvious reasons. However, you know me, I like to subvert expectations, and we're going to use dual Godskin Stitchers alongside the Seppuku Ash of War. Because in the second phase of the fight, she does practically stab herself and uses her blood, so I thought it would be freaking perfect to use Seppuku. You can definitely just use one for this build, however, the power stancing moveset is pretty good. It's a bit on the slow side, however, it can proc bleed extremely quickly. The rolling R1 is really good, it's 2 hits. The running R1 is also 2 hits. She pokes or stabs with both weapons. And also the jumping L1, she stabs both of them down into the ground, and it really has a really great moveset. Even on horses, on horseback I mean, it's pretty good to use. Now this build is pretty straightforward, of course. The strategy to it is just stab yourself before a fight, go in and power stance to proc bleed. So I think this build could also be good for PvP, correct me if I'm wrong, but the range of the weapons and the fact that you don't have to switch between 20 million things, while all you need to do is just run in and stab to proc some bleed, makes it pretty good. Now the only drawback that I could think of is that it will take a bit of time if you want to get the Seppuku buff on both of the weapons, and they have a slower moveset. Now let's look at the build stats. You want to start with either a hero or a bandit for this build. Now the character I have is a wretch, but at level 150 you want something like this: 45 vigor, 15 mind. We won't be using a lot of mind, you can even just keep it at the default stat if you want. I have 30 endurance, 14 strength because we need 14 strength for the Godskin Stitcher. Now I have 55 dexterity, you see 60 here because of talisman I'm using, and of course 50 arcane to proc that juicy blood loss. Again, a pretty straightforward dexterity and arcane build, but it is extremely effective as well. This build is also extremely good against bosses because the bigger their health bars are, the more blood loss you will proc, and the more health they will lose when it does proc. So that is what you can expect from this build. Now let's look at where you can get everything that you need to make this build. Now for the fashion, I went for the aristocrat hat, the page garb, non-altered, so you get the cape, the gauntlets. I honestly think the only armor that has a Lady Maria vibe to it and is a dark color is pretty much only the page garb. You could also do the noble's traveling garb, that also could work really well. And of course the leather armor. There are also mods that imported her Bloodborne outfit into the game. However, there's an issue with Nexus mods because of course there's an issue when I need it, so I can't show you, but it looks pretty cool. If you want to do Eleanor's pole blade, the stats will be relatively the same, and it's still going to be Dex and Arcane. But for this specifically, we're going to use the Godskin Stitchers. Now you can only get one per game because the way you get this weapon is by defeating the Godskin Noble in a Volcano Manor. So you can either get this on New Game Plus or get someone to drop this for you. And if you do need that, I have a Discord where I will happily drop stuff for you, or other people can also help you with the game, or you can just play PvP with them. The invite link to my Discord is in the description box below. The Ash of War we'll be using is a Seppuku, so you can find it at the freezing lake in the mountaintops of the giant, and once you get on the lake it should be like right here ish, so right here, and it'll be a beetle. So just hit it and you'll get the Ash of War. Let's look at the talismans for this build. We're going to go with the Green Turtle Talisman, Millicent's Prosthesis, Lord of Blood's Exaltation, and the Godskin Swaddling Cloth. Now you'll be pretty familiar with Millicent's Prosthesis and the Lord of Blood's Exaltation if you watch my videos often, but I'll still go through each one and tell you where to get them. So for the Godskin Swaddling Cloth, you want to go to the mountaintops of the Giants, and you actually have to go into the Spirit Color Cave here, which is really close to the Freezing Lake site of Grace, where we are. And you want to defeat the Godskin Noble duo that is in that cave as a boss. For Lord of Blood's Exaltation, it's a bit tricky to find, but you need to defeat Esger, the Priest of Blood. That is in the Landale Catacombs. You have to find the subterranean shutting grounds, and then you'll be able to find the catacombs underneath there. For Millicent's Prosthesis, you need to either complete Millicent's questline to the very end, so you have to help her sisters defeat Millicent in the Haligtree area. If you don't want to do that, you can get it sooner. So eventually you'll progress Millicent's questline where she is at the Windmill Heights after you defeat the Godskin Noble that's there. You'll be able to fight her and defeat her there to get the talisman. For the Green Turtle Talisman, again a super simple one to get. You can find it in Limgrave in a Summon Water Village. I believe it's in those ruins exactly. You'll see a bunch of turtles and you'll need a stone sword key to open the fog wall to be able to get down there and loot the talisman from a chest. So now you should have everything that you need to play as Lady Maria. I really hope you enjoyed this one. It was super fun to make. I don't know why I waited so long to do it, because she's definitely one of my favorite bosses in any Souls game. And she's also clearly a lot of people's favorite, considering how she dominated the poll. So if you want more videos like this, there are plenty more on my channel. Other than that, everyone, have yourself a wonderful day, and I'll see you all very soon.